My shoes clicked loudly on the shiny floor as I walked to the boardroom. I held a folder tight in my hand. My heart was beating fast, but I wasn't scared anymore. This folder had papers that would show everyone the truth. Vanessa's mean words echoed in my head. She's too broken to lead, she's weak. Those words hurt, like a bad cut, but today, they made me strong. I remembered Dad long ago, holding my hand in the factory. "You'll be the boss here one day," he said, smiling big. Now, standing by the boardroom door, I felt him with me. My hand squeezed the folder. This was my fight, for him, for me, for our company. I passed the security desk, and Frank, the guard who knew me since I was little, looked surprised. "Miss Davis, they said you can't come here anymore." I looked at him and said, "Things will change, Frank. Believe me." He nodded, a bit confused but kind. That moment made me feel strong. This company wasn't just walls and machines. It was people like Frank, who knew me forever, who trusted me when Vanessa pushed me away. My chest felt tight, with nerves and courage mixed. Vanessa used my sadness to make me look bad. But today, I wasn't that sad girl. I was ready. The boardroom door was closed now. I heard voices inside. My hand shook a little as I reached for the door, but I felt brave. Vanessa thought she won. She was wrong. Has someone ever taken something that was yours by saying bad things about you? Tell me in the comments. How did you stand up for yourself? As I stood outside the boardroom, my mind went back to when I was a kid. I could almost feel Dad's big hand holding mine, walking through the noisy factory. Machines hummed and workers smiled at us. I loved the smell of metal and oil, the way the floor vibrated under my feet. Dad would point at everything and say, "One day all this will be yours. The workers already respect you." His voice was warm like a hug. I was only 8, but I felt so special. The factory wasn't just a place, it was home, where Dad and I dreamed about my future. We were so close. Every weekend, we'd sit in his office eating sandwiches while he showed me how the company worked. I'd draw pictures of the machines, and he'd laugh, pinning them to his wall. "You're my partner," he'd say. Those were the best days. My heart felt full, like nothing could break us. Then, when I was 14, everything changed. Mom got sick and died fast. It was like the world stopped. I'd sit in my room, crying, missing her soft voice and her bedtime stories. Dad tried to be strong, but I saw him wipe tears when he thought I wasn't looking. Our house felt empty, quiet. I felt lost, like a boat with no anchor. Dad was lonely too. He'd sit at the dinner table, staring at Mom's empty chair. 2 years later, Dad met Vanessa. I wanted to be happy for him, but something felt wrong. At our first dinner together, Vanessa smiled, but her eyes were cold. She cut her steak slowly and said to Dad, "Don't you think Robert deserves a son to carry on his legacy?" Her voice was sweet, but it stung me. I stared at my plate, my cheeks hot. A son? What about me? Dad put his fork down, his face serious. "My daughter is more than capable of running this company someday," he said. His words made me sit taller. I looked at Vanessa, hoping she'd agree. Instead, she smiled tighter and said, "Of course she is, dear. I just worry about the pressure on her." Her tone was soft, but it felt like a trick. I was 16, and I already knew she didn't like me. Vanessa moved in, and things got worse. She'd rearrange Mom's things in the house, like Mom never existed. If I talked about the factory, she'd change the subject. Once I showed Dad a plan I drew for a new machine. He hugged me, proud. Vanessa just looked at me, her lips a thin line. "That's cute," she said, like I was a baby. My stomach twisted. I wanted to yell, but I stayed quiet. I didn't want to upset Dad. Even then, I worked hard. At school, I studied business because I wanted to make Dad proud. I'd stay up late reading about machines and how companies run. I wasn't just dreaming, I was learning step by step. The workers at the factory knew me. They'd wave when I visited, calling me "little boss." It made me smile. I wasn't weak like Vanessa thought. I was strong, like Dad taught me to be, but inside I still hurt. Losing Mom left a hole in me. Some nights I'd cry alone, wishing she was there to hug me. I went to therapy in college to help with the sadness. It wasn't a secret, but it was private. I never thought someone would use it against me. Vanessa was always watching, though. I'd catch her staring when I talked to Dad, like she was planning something. I told myself I was imagining it. How could Dad love someone who didn't love me? But deep down, I knew Vanessa wasn't who she pretended to be. Standing by the boardroom now, those memories hit hard. Vanessa's fake smiles, her sharp words, the way she pushed me out. I wasn't that sad teenager anymore. I'd fought to get here, to hold these papers that would show everyone the truth. My hand stopped shaking. I was ready to take back what was mine. Have you ever felt someone was being fake to you while others believed them? Share in the comments, what did you do about it? When I graduated from business school, I felt like I could fly. Dad was there, clapping louder than anyone, his smile bigger than the sun. "You did it," he said, hugging me tight. The auditorium smelled like flowers and coffee, and I could hear his proud laugh over the crowd. That day, he took me to the factory. "Come work with me," he said. "Learn everything like I did." I nodded, my heart full. I was ready to make him proud. For 3 years, I worked by Dad's side. Those were the best times. I started in the warehouse, packing boxes with workers who called me Little Boss. I loved the dusty air and the clank of machines. I learned how to fix orders, talk to customers, and plan budgets. Dad taught me everything, step by step. I'd sit in his office, taking notes while he explained numbers. "You're smart," he'd say. "You're ready for this." I felt strong, like I could do anything. The workers trusted me. They'd share their lunch, tell me stories, and ask my ideas. I wasn't just Dad's daughter, I was part of the team. Then Dad got sick. Cancer. It came fast. One day he was laughing in the factory. The next he was in a hospital bed, his face pale. The room smelled like medicine, and the beeping machines made my stomach hurt. I sat by him every day, holding his hand. His voice was weak, but he talked about the company. "Promise me you'll keep our company strong," he said, his eyes serious. "I promise," I whispered, tears in my eyes. I meant it. He smiled, squeezing my hand. "I know you will." Dad died a month later. My world broke. The funeral was cold, with rain tapping my umbrella. I felt empty, like part of me was gone. Vanessa stood by the coffin, her face blank. I wanted to scream at her to leave, but I stayed quiet. I thought the pain couldn't get worse. I was wrong. A week later, my brother Tom called me. His voice was shaky. "Vanessa had a board meeting," he said. "You weren't invited." I frowned, confused. The board? They ran the company with Dad. Why was I left out? Tom looked at his hands. "She showed them your medical records from college," he said. My heart stopped. "What?" I asked. "The therapy you had after Mom died," he said. "The pills you took for stress during exams. She told everyone you're not stable, too weak to lead." I felt like I'd been hit. Those records were private. I went to therapy because Mom's death hurt so much. I took pills for a few months to get through school. I wasn't broken. I was healing. But Vanessa used those papers to make me look bad. She told the board I couldn't handle the company. My face burned with anger and shame. At the meeting, Mr. Carter, an older board member who liked Dad, asked, "Is it true you were hospitalized for a breakdown?" His voice was soft, but it hurt. "I was never hospitalized. It was a lie," Vanessa answered, her voice fake sweet. "We're just worried about her well-being. This business can be so stressful." I wasn't there, but Tom said her eyes didn't match her words. She sounded kind, but she wasn't. The board listened to her. They made Vanessa the acting boss. Dad left me 40% of the company, Vanessa 40%, and Tom 20%. But with the board against me, my share didn't matter. They put me in a small marketing job, far from the big decisions. I felt pushed out, like a stranger in my own home. The workers still smiled at me, but I saw pity in their eyes. Mr. Carter was kind, always asking how I was. He believed in me, like Dad did. But others, like Mrs. Larson, a board member who liked Vanessa, avoided me. They thought I was weak. I went to Vanessa's office one day. My hands shook, but I had to know. "Why did you do this?" I asked. She looked at me, her eyes cold. "Your father built this for a real family," she said. "Not for some emotional girl who can't handle pressure." Her words cut deep. I left, my chest tight with hurt and anger. That night, I sat in my apartment, staring at a photo of Dad and me at the factory. His smile gave me strength. "Never let anyone tell you what you can't do," he'd said. I wiped my tears and called Carl, Dad's old lawyer. "I need your help," I said. "I want Dad's first will, from before he got sick." I wasn't giving up. Vanessa thought she'd won, but I was just starting. Has someone ever used your private struggles to make you look bad? Tell me in the comments, what did you do to fight back? After the board meeting, everything changed. They sent me to the marketing department, far from the factory floors I loved. My new office was tiny, with a squeaky chair and a window that barely let in light. I used to help plan how the company ran. Now, I made posters and wrote emails nobody read. It felt like a punishment. Every day, I walked past Dad's old office, now Vanessa's. Her name was on the door in big, shiny letters. It hurt to see it, like a knife in my chest. Vanessa was changing everything Dad cared about. He always said, "Treat workers like family." He gave them bonuses and listened to their ideas. Vanessa didn't. She cut breaks and stopped the yearly picnic. I heard workers grumbling in the halls, their voices low. The factory used to feel alive, full of laughter and machine hums. Now it felt heavy, like a storm was coming. I wanted to fix it, but I had no power. I felt small, like I didn't belong anymore. The workers who called me little boss stopped looking at me. They'd turn away when I passed, their eyes on the floor. It wasn't their fault. Vanessa told everyone I wasn't fit to lead. I'd see them whisper, and my face would burn. I wondered if they believed her lies. One day Martha, a kind worker who'd known me since I was a kid, pulled me aside. Her hands were rough from years at the machines. "Many of us still believe in you," she whispered, her eyes soft. I smiled, but my throat felt tight. Her words helped, but they couldn't fix the loneliness. I decided to face Vanessa. I marched to Dad's old office, my heart racing. The room smelled like his coffee, but Vanessa sat at his desk, typing fast. I stood tall and asked, "Why are you doing this?" She looked up, her eyes cold as ice. "Your father built this for a real family," she said, "not for some emotional girl who falls apart under pressure." Her words hit hard, like a slap. I wanted to yell, but my voice broke. I left, my hands shaking. She made me feel like nothing. That night, I hit rock bottom. I sat alone in my apartment, the lights dim. Photos of Dad and me covered the table, us at the factory, laughing at a picnic, hugging on my graduation day. The room was quiet except for my sobs. I held a picture of Dad smiling and whispered, "I'm sorry, Dad. I failed you." Tears fell on the glass. I felt so alone, like I'd lost everything. Was Vanessa right? Was I too weak to lead? Doubt crept in, heavy and dark. I remembered therapy after Mom died, how hard it was to keep going. Maybe I wasn't strong enough. I called Mr. Thompson, Dad's old friend who helped start the company. His voice was tired on the phone. "I barely recognize the company your father built," he said. "Vanessa's changing it all." His words hurt, but they woke something in me. This was Dad's company, our company. He believed in me. I saw his face in my mind saying, "Never let anyone tell you what you can't do." My sadness started to burn into anger. Vanessa wasn't just taking my place. She was destroying Dad's dream. I couldn't let her win. I wiped my tears and looked at the photos again. My hands stopped shaking. I wasn't weak. I'd learned everything Dad taught me. I'd worked hard, earned the workers' trust, and kept going even when Mom died. Vanessa used my pain to lie about me. But I wasn't broken. I was strong, and I'd prove it. I grabbed my phone and called Carl, Dad's lawyer. "I need Dad's old will," I said, my voice steady. "The one from before he got sick." This wasn't over. I was done feeling powerless. Standing outside the boardroom now, those dark nights felt far away. The folder in my hand held my fight, my truth. Vanessa thought she'd buried me. She was about to see how wrong she was. Have you ever felt powerless to save something you loved? Share in the comments. When did you find your strength to keep going? After that dark night, I couldn't stop thinking about Dad's words. Never let anyone tell you what you can't do. I wasn't weak. I was ready to fight. I started looking for answers. One evening, I went to Dad's old study in our house. Vanessa never went there. The room smelled like old books and his favorite coffee. I found a dusty box under his desk. Inside was his journal filled with his handwriting. My heart jumped. I sat on the floor, the wood cold under me, and read every page. Dad wrote about the company, secrets about how he made it strong, deals he planned, and people he trusted. One note hit me hard. Keep the workers happy. They're the heart of this place. Vanessa was breaking that rule. Another page talked about his will. He wrote, "My daughter will lead. She's ready." Tears filled my eyes. He believed in me. But there was something else. A note about Vanessa. "She pushes too hard. I worry about her plans." My stomach twisted. Dad saw something wrong, even back then. I called Carl, Dad's old lawyer. Vanessa had pushed him out after Dad got sick, but he was loyal. We met at a small cafe, the air warm with the smell of fresh bread. Carl looked tired, his hands shaking as he held his cup. "Your father came to me about changing his will," he said. But Vanessa was always there watching. I leaned forward, my heart racing. "I need to see my father's original will," I said. "The one from before he got sick." Carl frowned. "What you're suggesting could tear the company apart," he warned. I looked him in the eyes. "She already did that when she stole what my father wanted me to have." My voice was strong. Carl nodded slowly, like he understood. I started digging deeper. I looked at old company records on my work computer late at night. The screen glowed in my dark apartment, making my eyes tired. I saw strange things. Money moved to accounts I didn't know, deals with companies that didn't make sense. I remembered Dad teaching me how to spot bad patterns. These weren't mistakes. Vanessa was hurting the company on purpose. I called Martha, the worker who believed in me. "Check the shipping logs," I told her. She found proof. Vanessa was selling parts of the company to her friends for cheap. My anger grew. This wasn't just about me. It was about Dad's dream. Then I found something big. I searched online for Vanessa's name. The cafe's Wi-Fi was slow, but I kept clicking. Before she met Dad, Vanessa ran 2 companies. Both failed. She left them broke, with workers unpaid. My hands shook. She wasn't a leader. She was a liar. I wondered how she got my medical records. I called my old college clinic. The nurse sounded nervous. "Someone paid for those files," she said. It wasn't right. I knew it was Vanessa. She broke the law to hurt me. My heart pounded, not with fear, but with fire. She wasn't just mean, she was dangerous. I sat in my apartment, the journal open in front of me. The room was quiet, except for the clock ticking. I thought about Dad, the workers, the company. I could walk away, stay safe, and let Vanessa win. But that felt wrong. Dad trusted me to keep his dream alive. Exposing Vanessa could hurt the company. Workers might lose jobs. The board might fight me. I felt scared for a moment. Was I strong enough? Then I remembered Dad's smile, his voice saying I was ready. I wasn't the sad girl anymore. I was a fighter, like him. I called more allies. Mr. Thompson, Dad's friend, promised to help. Martha got workers to share what they knew. Even Tom, my brother, said he'd stand by me. I didn't see your lies before, he said, his voice soft. I'm sorry. I hugged him, feeling stronger. I wasn't alone. I had a plan. Carl sent me Dad's old will, the one Vanessa hid. It was my weapon. I held it, my hands steady. The boardroom was waiting, and I was ready. Standing outside that door now, the folder in my hand felt heavy with truth. Vanessa thought she'd crushed me. She was wrong. I'd show them all what Dad wanted, what I could do. Have you ever found something that changed how you saw everything? Tell me in the comments. Did you use it to fix a wrong? With Dad's journal and old will in my hands, I felt stronger, but I needed more proof. Vanessa's lies were big, and I had to be sure. I started searching for answers, careful not to rush. My heart raced, but I stayed calm. I wanted the truth, not guesses. First, I met Nancy, the nurse who cared for Dad when he was sick. We sat in her small living room, the air smelling like lavender and cookies. Her hands shook as she poured tea. Your father was always lucid in the mornings, she said, her voice soft. But Vanessa only brought the lawyer in the evenings after his medication. I froze. Dad's medicine made him sleepy, confused. My stomach hurt. Was Vanessa planning something even then? I thanked Nancy, my mind spinning. I felt angry but sad too. Dad trusted Vanessa, and she used that against him. Back home, I searched Dad's old things again. In a locked drawer, I found a small recorder. My hands shook as I pressed play. Dad's voice filled the room, weak but clear. I fear someone is trying to influence my decisions about the company's future, he said. My eyes burned with tears. The recorder felt warm in my hand, like Dad was with me. He knew something was wrong. Vanessa wasn't just after my place. She was after his. I listened again, my heart heavy. How could she do this to him when he was dying? I kept digging. Late at night, my apartment was dark except for my laptop's glow. I found emails on an old company server, ones Vanessa thought were deleted. They showed her meeting with our competitors, offering them secret deals. My hands clenched. She was selling pieces of Dad's company for her own gain. The screen's light hurt my eyes, but I kept reading. Every email made me angrier. She wasn't just hurting me, she was destroying everything Dad built. I needed more proof. I called Martha, the worker who believed in me. We met in the factory break room, the air thick with the smell of coffee and grease. Talk to the workers, I said. Find out what they saw. Martha nodded, her face serious. A few days later, she brought me stories. Workers saw Vanessa meeting strange men in suits late at night, near the loading docks. One worker, Joe, heard her promise them cheap contracts. She didn't care about us, he said. I wrote everything down, my pen scratching the paper. These workers trusted me like they trusted Dad. I felt stronger, like I was leading again. I showed the proof to Tom, my brother. We sat in my kitchen, papers spread out. The fridge hummed softly. Tom's eyes widened as he read the emails and heard Dad's recording. I had no idea how far she'd gone, he said, his voice low. Dad would be heartbroken. He looked at me, his face sad but firm. I'm with you, he said. I hugged him, my chest tight with relief. Tom wasn't against me anymore. We were a team, like when we were kids. I took everything to Mr. Carter, the board member who liked Dad. His office was small, with old photos of the factory on the walls. The air smelled like paper and dust. I showed him the will, the emails, the worker stories, and Dad's recording. His hands shook as he listened. If what you're showing me is true, he said, we've made a terrible mistake. His voice was quiet but angry. I nodded, my heart pounding. Mr. Carter believed me. He promised to help. Every step hurt. Learning Vanessa tricked Dad when he was dying broke my heart. I'd lie awake at night, the moonlight soft through my window, thinking about him. He was so sick, so weak, and she used that. I felt sick, like I couldn't breathe. But I also felt fire inside me. I wasn't just fighting for me. I was fighting for Dad, for the workers, for the company. I doubted myself sometimes. What if I failed? What if the board didn't listen? But then I'd hear Dad's voice on the recorder and I'd push forward. I wasn't weak. I was smart, careful, and ready. I organized my allies. Martha got more workers to share stories. Mr. Thompson, Dad's friend, found old contracts Vanessa hid. Tom helped me plan what to say. We met in secret, whispering in coffee shops or my apartment. The smell of coffee and ink filled the air as we worked. I felt like a leader again, like Dad taught me. I checked every piece of proof twice, making sure it was real. I didn't want to make mistakes. Vanessa was powerful, but I was building something stronger. Truth. The night before the board meeting, I sat alone, the folder of proof on my table. My apartment was quiet, the clock ticking loudly. I thought about Dad, his smile, his trust in me. I thought about the workers, counting on me. My hands didn't shake anymore. I was scared, but I was ready. Vanessa thought she'd won by using my pain and Dad's weakness. She was wrong. Tomorrow, I'd walk into that boardroom and show everyone the truth. Standing outside the boardroom now, the folder felt like a shield. Vanessa's lies were falling apart. I was ready to take back what was mine. For Dad, for me, for everyone who believed in us. How would you feel if you found out someone tricked a loved one who was dying? Tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to gather proof to stop someone powerful? I stood outside the boardroom, my folder heavy with truth. My heart beat fast, but I took a deep breath. The hallway smelled like wax and old coffee. I heard voices inside, Vanessa's loudest, talking about profits. This was it. I pushed the door open and walked in, my shoes clicking on the floor. The room went quiet. Faces turned to me, eyes wide with shock. Vanessa froze, her pen in midair. I walked to an empty chair and sat down, my back straight. I felt Dad with me, like he was guiding my steps. I believe there are some matters about my father's true wishes we need to discuss, I said, my voice clear. The board members stared, some confused, some curious. Mr. Carter, my ally, gave me a small nod. Mrs. Larson, Vanessa's friend, frowned. Vanessa's face turned red. She's clearly having another episode, she snapped. Call security. Her voice was sharp, but I saw her hands shake. She was scared. I stayed calm, just like Dad taught me. No, I said, looking at the chairman, Mr. Evans. I have proof you need to see. I opened my folder and passed out copies of Dad's old will. The papers rustled as board members took them. I showed emails of Vanessa's secret deals with competitors. The room was quiet, except for the hum of the air conditioner. My heart pounded, but I kept my face steady. I wasn't the weak girl Vanessa called me. I was strong, ready. Vanessa tried to stop me. "This is nonsense," she shouted, standing up. Her chair scraped the floor. I didn't flinch. I pulled out Dad's recorder and pressed play. His voice filled the room, weak, but sure. "I fear someone is trying to influence my decisions about the company's future," he said. I watched the board. Mr. Carter's eyes widened. Mrs. Larson looked down. Even Mr. Evans, who rarely spoke, leaned forward. I played another recording, where Dad said I was ready to lead. My throat felt tight, but I didn't cry. This was for him. I showed more proof. Worker statements from Martha and Joe. Nancy's notes about Vanessa's shady lawyer visits. I explained how Vanessa got my medical records illegally. "She used my private pain to lie about me," I said. My voice didn't shake. I felt Dad's strength in me, like when we walked the factory together. The board listened, their faces serious. Vanessa's eyes darted around like a trapped animal. Mr. Evans looked at her. "Mrs. Davis, is there any truth to these allegations?" he asked, his voice low. The room was so quiet I could hear my own breathing. Vanessa's face twisted. "You have no idea what I had to do to get here," she yelled. "None of you appreciate what I sacrificed." Her voice broke and she slammed her hand on the table. Papers flew. She wasn't calm anymore. She was falling apart, right in front of everyone. I stayed steady. "This was never yours to sacrifice," I said, my voice soft but firm. The board looked at me, then at her. I saw the change. Mr. Carter nodded slowly. Mr. Evans wrote something down. Even Mrs. Larson looked unsure. They were starting to believe me. My chest felt lighter, like a weight was lifting. I wasn't just fighting for me. I was fighting for Dad, for the workers, for the truth. I didn't yell or gloat. I didn't need to. The truth was enough. Vanessa tried to talk again, but her words were messy, loud. "You can't do this," she shouted. Mr. Evans raised his hand. "Enough," he said. "We need time to review this." He looked at me, his eyes kind. "You've given us a lot to think about." I nodded, my heart full. I'd done it. I'd shown them who Vanessa really was. I felt proud, like Dad was smiling at me. As I gathered my papers, my hands were steady. The room smelled like paper and tension. I looked at Vanessa one last time. Her face was pale, her eyes wild. She thought she could break me, but she was wrong. I walked out, my head high. The workers outside, like Frank and Martha, smiled at me. They knew I was fighting for them too. I wasn't just Dad's daughter anymore, I was a leader like he always said I'd be. This moment wasn't about hate. It was about fixing what was wrong. I felt strong, but my heart still hurt for Dad. He'd be proud. I knew it. The boardroom door closed behind me, but I wasn't done. The fight was just beginning, and I was ready. Have you ever had a moment when you proved someone wrong after they hurt you? Share in the comments. How did it feel to stand up and win? The boardroom confrontation changed everything. A week later, the board called another meeting. I walked in, my shoes clicking on the floor, the air smelling like paper and coffee. My heart beat fast, but I felt strong. The board members sat quietly, their faces serious. Mr. Evans, the chairman, stood up. "On behalf of the board, I want to apologize for our failure to honor Robert's true wishes," he said. His voice was low, kind. "We've reviewed your proof. We vote to make you CEO, effective today." My chest felt light, like I could breathe again. I nodded, my eyes wet. This was what Dad wanted. I felt him smiling. Vanessa faced consequences. The police looked at my proof, her illegal deals, the stolen medical records. They said she broke laws. She was fired from the company, and lawyers took her to court. I didn't feel happy about it. I just felt free. Vanessa's lies couldn't hurt me anymore. I sat in my new office, Dad's old office, the smell of his coffee still in the air. I wasn't like her. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted to fix what she broke. The workers were harder to win back. Some, like Martha and Joe, always believed in me. Others looked away when I passed, ashamed they doubted me. I saw their nervous eyes in the factory, the machines humming loud. I felt hurt, but I understood. Vanessa lied to them too. I called a big meeting in the factory yard. The sun was hot and the air smelled like oil and dust. I stood on a box, holding a microphone. "Some of you doubted me, some stood by me," I said. "Today, we move forward together." I looked at their faces. Some smiled, some nodded. "We'll bring back Dad's way. Fair pay, good breaks, a family." Cheers started, soft at first, then loud. I saw Frank clap, his grin big. My heart felt warm. I was home again. One day I cleaned out Dad's desk. The wood was smooth, worn from his hands. In a hidden drawer, I found a letter. My name was on it, in Dad's handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. "If you're reading this, you found your fight," it said. "I never doubted you would." Tears fell on the paper. I could hear his voice, feel his hug. The hurt from losing him, from Vanessa's lies, felt lighter. I wasn't just fighting for the company. I was fighting for him, and I'd won. I put the letter in my pocket, close to my heart. As CEO, I started fixing things. I brought back the yearly picnic, gave workers bonuses, and listened to their ideas like Dad did. The factory felt alive again, with laughter and machine clanks. I worked late, my desk lamp glowing, planning new ways to grow the company. I wasn't perfect, but I was learning, just like Dad taught me. I felt strong, like I was finally who I was meant to be. Tom changed too. He came to my office one day, the air cool from the open window. "Dad always knew you were the right choice," he said, his voice soft. "I'm proud to work alongside you, not against you." I smiled, my chest tight with happiness. He wasn't fighting me anymore. He took a job helping with new projects, using his skills to support me. We were a team again, like when we were kids. I hugged him, smelling his familiar cologne. It felt like family. Winning didn't mean hating Vanessa or the people who doubted me. I forgave them, even Mrs. Larson, who apologized quietly one day. "I was wrong," she said, her eyes down. I nodded, not angry. I wanted to build, not break. Every day I walked the factory talking to workers, learning their names. They smiled now, calling me boss again. The pain from Vanessa's lies was fading. I was healing, step by step. Standing in my office now, I looked at Dad's old photos on the wall. The company was mine, like he always wanted. I felt proud, but not mean. I'd fought for what was right, for Dad, for the workers. The folder of proof was gone, but its truth lived in me. I was ready to lead, to make Dad's dream grow. How would you rebuild trust with people who believed lies about you? Tell me in the comments, what would you do to fix something that was yours? 6 months later, I stood in my office, Dad's old office. The room smelled like his coffee mixed with fresh paint I'd added. I looked out the window at the factory floor. Machines hummed and workers moved fast, smiling as they worked. I remembered holding Dad's hand as a kid, walking those same floors. My heart felt full, like he was still here. I wasn't just his daughter anymore. I was the leader he always knew I'd be. I visited Dad's grave that morning. The grass was soft, and the air smelled like flowers and earth. I knelt by his stone, my fingers tracing his name. "You were right, Dad," I said. "I was strong enough for all of it." My voice was steady, but tears fell. I told him about the company, how we had our best quarter ever, how the workers laughed again, how I brought back his ways. The wind blew gently, like he was listening. I felt peace, like a heavy weight was gone. The pain of Vanessa's lies, the fight, the doubt. It all led me here. Back home, I sat with Tom at the kitchen table. The room was warm, smelling like pizza we'd ordered. "I think we're finally the family Dad always wanted us to be," I said, smiling. Tom nodded, his eyes soft. "You proved it," he said. "I'm proud of you." His words warmed me like a hug. He wasn't just my brother now. He was my partner, helping with new ideas for the company. We laughed, talking about old times with Dad. The hurt between us was healing, like a cut closing up. At the factory, I threw a big party to celebrate our success. The yard was bright with lights and tables were full of food. Sandwiches, cake, lemonade. The air smelled like summer and grilled burgers. I stood on a box, holding a microphone just like Dad used to. "This success belongs to all of us who kept faith," I said. Workers cheered, their faces happy. Martha hugged me, her hands still rough from work. Frank raised a glass, grinning. Even workers who doubted me smiled now. I didn't hold grudges. I wanted us to be a family, like Dad did. That night, I sat alone in my office, the lamp glowing soft. I thought about everything. Mom's death, Vanessa's lies, the fight to take back the company. Vanessa called me damaged because I grieved, because I struggled. But I realized something. The damage Vanessa saw in me turned out to be my greatest strength, I said to myself. My pain made me fight harder, love deeper, lead better. I wasn't weak for crying or needing help. I was strong for keeping going. That wisdom came from hurt, but it made me who I am. I changed the company, but not with anger. I built a place where workers felt safe, heard, valued. We had meetings where everyone could share ideas. We laughed more, worked as a team. I wasn't just following Dad's path. I was making my own too. His letter, his voice, his trust lived in me. I felt peace like I'd honored him and found myself. Standing in my office now, I looked at his old photos on the wall. The factory hummed below, alive again. I wasn't the sad girl Vanessa tried to break. I was a leader, a daughter, a fighter. The journey hurt, but it made me stronger. I smiled, ready for whatever came next. Have you ever realized something others called a weakness was really your strength? Share in the comments. How did you honor someone who believed in you after proving the doubters wrong? This story moved you today. If you felt that surge of satisfaction when someone finally stood up against exploitation and betrayal, consider joining our community of justice seekers with a simple click of the subscribe button. Your subscription makes it possible for us to continue sharing these stories that might just give someone else the courage to reclaim their power. Until next time, remember, your worth is never determined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to respond when they don't treat you right. See you in the next one.